Okay, Sarah, it's early still, but
Yes.
we have a number of Orthodox coming in down to the
Definitely.
Western Wall to pray. And there's so much history connected with these gates. I want you to know some of that history. I want you to understand what's happened. And you can look around and see evidence of it just everywhere. So let's start talking
Yeah, it's
first
beautiful.
about what a gate is. A gate is for protection. And so we have, for example, way up there, look up there, what do you have? Kill holes.
Oh,
And you pour what through them?
oil.
Oil or hot water. It's hot. Give some oil right here would make it impossible to get through in part because of the slipperiness, but also think of the fear of trying to get in here if you hot water's coming down on you. And what do we call these places in the wall where you shoot arrows? They can't get to you easily. It's just a narrow little thing, but you can shoot arrows down to anyone who's down this way. What would you call that?
Kill holes? No.
Loophole.
Loopholes.
Loophole. Those are loopholes. So now a gate is designed in a certain way. It is never just a straight in. You want to make sure folks cannot attack easily, so you want them to have a difficult time getting in, so you go in and you turn.
okay.
And so if you go to the gates of the city, that's what you'll see. You'll go in and then you have to go to your left. So here we
That's
go.
right, there is a turn there.
There's a turn, and that's why it's designed that way, to make it more difficult to break through into the city if you're being attacked. So that's important to understand.
Now, what is this gate called?
This is the Jaffa Gate.
I see.
Why is it called the Jaffa
Yeah, why
Gate?
the Jaffa Gate?
Think about it. We are here on the west side of the city, and so if you wanted to go west, or if you wanted to go to the south west, this is where you leave from.
I see.
And of course, to the west is
Jaffa. Or
Jaffa,
right?
Jaffa.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly, where Jonah left from.
I see.
And south is Hebron.
Okay.
So that is why this is called, it could be called, of course, the Jaffa Gate. And in fact, I'll give you in a moment the name of this gate for those who speak Arabic.
Oh, okay.
It's not Jaffa Gate,
Oh, what do they call it?
Baba Khalil.
Baba Khalil? I see. What does that mean?
Gate of the Friend. And I'll explain that in a minute.
Oh, I like
Let's
that.
look at some other features first. Okay. Let's notice you have Arabic writing up here. You have
Yes.
Arabic writing up here. You have Arabic writing over here. And so that tells us something about the fact that this was, it doesn't necessarily mean that this was built by those who spoke Arabic, because sometimes something built by Christians, later the Arabs conquered, and they would put an inscription. We'll see that at St. Anne's. It's a church built by the Byzantine Christians,
But it was taken?
taken over when the Muslims conquered,
I see.
and they made it a school, and so you have Arabic writing above
Okay.
there, but it was built by the Christians. But in this case, these walls were all built back in the 16th century. That's the 1500s. And they were built to provide a wall all the way around the city, and it's about a 3-mile wall. Now let's go look at some more things that give us more history. Okay, Sarah, before we enter the gate, right here we have what?
A mezuzah.
Very good. You're getting it down. Mezuzah. This one's not tilted,
Yeah, it's not tilted.
and some are not. Some feel strongly about that, some would not feel strongly about that, depending which group of Judaism you're in and so forth. But what have you noticed? As they walk by,
Come and touch it.
they touch it, yeah. Sometimes touch it and kiss their fingers.
Yes.
Yeah. So it'll have in there the Shema. And that's the word that means hear in Hebrew. And it's that hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, and so forth. Okay, let's go. One other thing I ought to mention before we enter, these gates covered with steel for obvious reasons. You close the gate, you need to make sure it's strong, give you protection. But you realize these gates stay open always.
Do they ever close them?
They close them during coronavirus. So essentially never closed them. They did during
Oh my
coronavirus.
gosh, wow.
Okay, let's go and notice again the turn. We're going to make a turn, and we're going to go then to our left. We're going to walk out. As we walk out, I want us to look up and look at a couple of signs. Yeah. Now, you have a sign at the top. And the first line is in what language?
First line is in English.
English. You know what? I bet people who spoke English were in charge when that sign was put up there. and that's the case.
Oh.
The British.
I see.
The British, Yeah, the British were here. This is during the British Mandate, 1922, until Israel was ready to become a state. Okay? And so they come first, and then we have Arabic, and then we have Hebrew.
So then I guess if you compare it to this other sign, it's Hebrew.
Hebrew on top, but it didn't used to be, because that was added. That little chunk on top was added. The bottom two was the original sign. You can see it looks like two different signs actually there.
Oh yeah, you're right.
And so what's on top of the bottom half? Answer Arabic. And that's the language of Jordan. And who was in charge here? Jordan. Do you realize this was called the divided city? Because right there at that Jaffa Gate, there was barbed wire, there were poles to prevent anyone from crossing. And on that side was Jewish. On this side was Jordan. You are now standing in what used to be Jordan, the country of Jordan. And it was until we had a war that changed all that. After 1967, of course, they took over the whole country. But it hasn't always been that way. So the Jordanians, who had control, they put the Arabic on top, and then there's the name underneath in English. Jews took over.
And then they added theirs.
They added theirs on top. Yeah. Sarah, I told you I was going to share with you something about the name after a bit. Now's the time I want to tell you.
Okay.
Why is this in Arabic, Baba Khalil, the gate of the friend? Here's the answer.
Okay.
Abraham lived at Hebron. And I told you can get from this gate to Jaffa, or you can get from this gate to Hebron. There's only one person in all the Old Testament called a friend of God, and it's Abraham.
Oh, okay. So.
But what I love to know is that even though it's only Abraham who's called the friend of God in all the Old Testament, all of us who are believers are called the friend of God. John 15, Jesus speaking to the apostles, he says, I no longer call you servants, but friends, appointed to do good works, bear fruit, bear fruit. Our role is special, unique in all the world. It's our group, believers, who are to be the salt and the light. We are the one who are to bear fruit. We are the one chosen by God to be a special children for a special reason. We need to take it most seriously. You agree?
Yes.
Okay.
I agree. Amen to that.
Okay.
So who named it Baba Khalil?
The Arabic folks.
Even though it means
Friend of God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess.
But
that makes sense. I see the connection now.
yeah, because they believe in all those same Old Testament people.
I see.
Yeah. Okay, and I've told you that Matthew 11:11, among those born of women, no one's arisen greater than John the Baptist, but whoever is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. So where do you fall? Are you near the top, closer to the middle, a little closer to the bottom?
Hopefully somewhere there.
In comparison to John the Baptist, God declares you are even more special. Every believer is.
Oh my gosh.
Every believer is. We are the friends of God. It's special to recognize what he's done for us. We're not worthy, but we rejoice in who he's made us by his choice.